Hello, friends. 2 days in a row that I am going live on Facebook. This does not happen all the time, but Christmas time is the time to start doing things like that, right? So I was supposed to be going live today with Brooke from the Junk Parlor. And if you guys watched my live yesterday that I did yesterday morning, you know that we had some technical difficulty getting my friend Dory to come on to the live video. We're supposed to be able to have the capability of having someone come on live with us. And for whatever reason, Facebook is not working that way. So Brooke is currently live over on her page, and I'm just gonna go live here on my page. And then this is for the 25 days of Christmas share that we are doing. So after I'm done with this live, I will share that to the event. So if you have not yet marked yourself going to the event, go ahead and do that after this video. I will share a link for it in the comments. So each day for 25 days of December, Brooke from the Junk Parlor, myself, Dory from Junk Refunkery, and Jessie from Serendipity and Vintage Handmade Goods, I believe is the name of her page. We are all sharing a live video each day of December. So we're taking turns each day. So yesterday was my day to make homemade hot chocolate mix. So that is what I shared yesterday. Today is Brooke's day to share, and she wanted to show how to fill a container. So I'm just gonna share what I put together here. That I was supposed to be sharing on her page, but I will share it here anyway. And then I will share it to the event page as well, so that if you mark yourself going and turn on notifications for that, you won't miss any of it. And then when you go to the event, you will want to hit the discussion tab, and that's where all of the posts will be that you will be able to find for the whole month. And there are actually 2 events listed because Facebook only lets you do 14 days for an event runtime. So this is in the first event for the 25 days of Christmas. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. We are filling a container today with Christmas things. So I love thrifting and I love vintage. So I'm constantly picking up different things that I just set aside for projects that I know eventually I will do. So that is kind of what I picked up for this project today. I am going to be filling this. It's an old, some paper in it. It's an old cheese box, and you can see on there, I don't know how to flip my screen. Brooke knows how to flip her screen so that you see me, you can read it the way that it shows here. But anyway, it says Clover Bloom processed cheese. So I'm going to be filling this with some vintage things, and I just popped something up on my screen that I don't know how to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to be filling this with some vintage goodies. So I'm going to try to arrange the camera. You won't necessarily see my face, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I am doing. So as you can see, I just have a variety of things here to work with. These little trees, I thrifted probably 10 of them last year at the Goodwill outlet, which if you've never been there before, it's kind of a trip. It's basically huge bins of stuff that they roll out, and they're constantly pulling new ones out, and you just sort of rifle through it. So I got a bunch of these little trees there. Wasn't sure what I was gonna do with them, but I knew eventually I would do something with it. Then I have just some small ornament balls here. And then these little guys, I always try to pick these up when I find them. Just little vintagey, I don't even know, just decorations. Then I want to incorporate this cute little Santa. And I have a couple of little putts, which are also vintage ornaments. This is a little, almost looks like a nativity, but it's not really. And then this putt's house. Sorry, Cooper is barking in the background. And then I also have some vintage ribbon that I'm going to use, and I've already pre-cut the little pieces. So I kind of played around with this ahead of time because I wanted to have an idea of what I was going to do. This is going to be the front of the display. The back of the box has the writing on it, but it's not quite as nice. So this is what I want to show. So first things first, I went through and just sort of fluffed all of the trees. When you have a tree like this, like even if you have an artificial tree at home for your Christmas tree, you want to go through and fluff all the branches. Since these were sort of shoved in a bin all year, they definitely needed fluffed. So I went through and did that on all of the trees just so they would be a little bit fatter and look nicer. Also, it helps them to sit up a little bit higher so I don't have to prop them up in the box. So we'll just continue to sort of put those in here. I have 4 of these that I'm going to use for this project. Just go through and fluff a little bit more. So if you're just coming on, I am working on doing like a Christmas filled container. Just a cute decoration. You definitely could use this as a gift. And this, what I'm filling is a vintage cheese box. I love the look of it. And I am not gluing anything in this. I'm just sort of setting it in there because I want to be able to pull this apart and use these pieces for something in the future. If you wanted to gift this, obviously you could glue things in so that it would be a little bit more stable. But again, I want to be able to pull these pieces apart so that I can use them again. So when I was playing with this earlier, I wanted to put some of these little Christmas ornaments in here, but they were dropping down in. So I had the idea to sort of just cut a little piece of this velvety ribbon, and I just sort of curled it up into like a cone shape a little bit, if I can get that to do it. And then I just tucked that in the little holes here. So here's one in the front, and I'm just gonna plop that in there. So this adds a little bit of color. You could use whatever ribbon you have. I just happen to have this vintage velvety ribbon. It's like a mustard color. Now, I will say it's probably not my favorite for this, but again, we're using what we have. I try to improvise with what I have on hand so that I didn't buy anything for this to do this project. And again, just gonna tuck this in here. Just plop that in. And once everything gets in here, I know I will like it. I'm gonna cut another piece of ribbon. And I always like to cut my ribbon on an angle like that. I think it looks a little bit more finished. Not that you really see it for this, but let's see. Might not need that. Okay, so I'm gonna just tuck in the putz houses. I forgot that I had this in here earlier, so I had it all spaced out. So I'm just tucking that in. I'm not gluing it because I don't want this to be permanent. And then this one is just gonna nestle in here. So the good thing about these branches is it kind of helps everything to stay in place. Okay, now I'm just gonna take one of these guys and kind of tuck him in the back for a little bit of height. Now I wish that I had 2 of these, but I don't, so use what you have again. So I'm gonna tuck this one in more to the trees versus into the box so that it's a little bit taller so that it matches with this one. Get that to stay. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is tuck Santa in, and he can just sort of stand right here. The trees are great because they're sort of holding everything in place, which is super nice because again, we're not gluing. I'm not using any floral wire. You definitely could if you wanted it to be a little bit more stable. But I think once you have this, wherever you're gonna put it in your house, it's not gonna move around. So you don't need to worry about pieces, oops, falling out like that. All right. So you definitely could add more things to this. You could totally change the look of it. I know that this is very bright and colorful for some people. You might not want those things. So a couple of other ideas that I had, you could fill it with, this is just a bell ornament that I got at the Dollar Tree last year. It had all of this stuff already on it, a little bit of burlap and the greenery, and one of the pine cones fell off, but it did have 2 pine cones. That is an idea that you could put inside. I also have this string of wooden beads. That would have been pretty to layer inside with some greenery, and then if you had some other natural elements. So this would be more of like a farmhouse, natural and neutral look, whereas mine is more of the colorful vintage. So just wanted to show you that there are lots of different ways that you can do these depending on what your style is, but the concept is going to be the same. Just sort of layering the pieces in and filling the container. And like I said, none of this is permanent, so you could take this apart and decorate it a different way for another holiday. I like to be able to utilize, I just saw that one of those fell through. I like to be able to utilize my decorations in more than one way, so I didn't want to make it more permanent. If you wanted to make this and sell it, I probably would glue pieces in just to make it a little bit more secure, and or if you were going to give it as a gift, because you wouldn't want pieces falling out if you're giving it as a gift. But just to sit on your table or a shelf, this works out just fine. So hopefully you enjoyed that quick live project. Again, this is for the 25 days of Christmas that I am doing with 3 other ladies: Brooke from the Junk Parlor, Dory from Junkery Funkery, and Jessie from Serendipity and Vintage Handmade Goods. I need to look that up. I apologize, Jessie, if you're watching. I am going to post this to the event page, and Brooke will be posting her project as well. It'll be interesting to see how the 2 different projects look side by side. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I will try to watch the comments later. If you watch this in replay, let me know that you watched it in replay. And if you have any questions, tell me if you've made anything like this. I always love it if you have made something similar, if you drop a picture in the comments. I like to get inspiration from other people, and I know that the people who are watching enjoy that as well. So I have been on the go all day today, so I am going to say goodbye for now. And again, I will post this in the event, and I'll take a nice picture of it too so that you can see kind of how it looks in my decoration. So have a really great afternoon, and I appreciate you watching.